to you and welcome to Chuntcast episode 50. Oh my God, halfway to 100? I'm almost halfway to 50. No, wait, I'm well over halfway to 50. Anyway, I'm king of this realm, Uncle Chunt. I hope you're all being great ones to you and yours. Before we begin, let's just get this out of the way. If you haven't already, consider joining the Chunt Core, following by liking, subscribing, and all that good stuff. And if you want to know what the Chunt Core is, that's what this is. It's a representation of the ultimate way to make sure we chill out, right? Let's just have that serenity's might within us. Excellent. Cool. I've gone through that preamble really quickly. I need to get that down to an art form, but it's good to be here. I do appreciate you and in your time. Thanks for making me a part of your day and your valuable time that you cannot get back. So let's have a good time. Let's have a good chat. And let's get into some topics here. Bit of housekeeping initially. Yes, I'm doing these on Friday nights now, right? So let me bring this up and it might just give you a bit of an idea. So this is one of the ads or promos that I put out just saying, hey, look, it's moving to Fridays. I'm going to do this every Friday. This is my social media banner that I'm using here. I used to do them on Sundays, but I've had some changes and I want to use my weekends to work on some of my art projects, right? Which includes, my comic books, right, that I'm trying to make. That takes time and focus to draw, and it takes a long time to plan out the pages. And I just find by the time I get to Sunday after a full working week, just to get my head around stuff that I want to talk about, I'm on the downturn, trying to just detach from everything leading into the next work week. So I'm just cutting out Sundays, or the weekends of my own now. I don't want to have to stress about getting something out. So while I'm still got energy on a Friday evening, I'm going to do them on Fridays now. I just feel that works for me with the time that I've got and other commitments that I have now in life and work. So hopefully that works for you. If not, it's just a day change. It's no big deal. But anyway, this works for me. Hopefully it works for you. Anyway, you can watch these on demand anyway. It's not like you have to watch it live. Excellent. Cool. Well, that's good. That's out of the way. First off, and just a couple other things I want to discuss tonight, the topics anyway. Peter Cullen's birthday, I want to talk about that and what Transformers is, to me at least. There's an A-list Superman fan film that I want to highlight tonight. And something about Ask Chunt and Dragon Ball. So let's just talk about that, right? Let's just go into that, what that means. What that means in particular is it's potentially being rebooted. Right, so I just want to give my thoughts on that, and that's what the Ask Chunt is for tonight. So let's hook right into it, and I hope you enjoy the show and whatever else I decide to ramble on about. Cool. Right, let's do it. Excellent. Here we are, Ask Chunt for episode 50. Yes. So this comes from @Teasian. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Teasian 93. I guess you're a 93 kid. I don't know what else that would mean. 1993. I was in grade 3 around that time. I feel very old. Anyway, with rumors of the Dragon Ball anime being rebooted, what are your thoughts? Reboot or new series? Keep growing your channel until all are one. Yes, indeed. Till all are one. Right. So what do I think about this? I don't have much of a problem with it, to be honest. Let me just get a graphic here of Goku on screen, just as a visual aid, so it's not just a question on all the time. So this is Goku, if you don't know, and he's the star, if you could say that, of the show Dragon Ball series, Dragon Ball Z or Z, depending what part of the world you're from. Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Heroes, and whatever else they've got Dragon Ball slapped on. So what do I think about the reboot potential? I think it's good, right? I'm not sure how far they can go with this show. Dragon Ball Super, I've got all the Blu-rays for Dragon Ball Super for the whole series and the movies that came out. I've got a massive DVD box set for Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball itself, it's not my cup of tea. I've tried, but it's not my thing, so I haven't picked that up. Dragon Ball GT just wasn't good. I don't like it. Some cool concepts, but I just don't like it. But otherwise, what do you do with Dragon Ball from here? They just keep getting stronger. Now they're kind of god tier characters. They've got God Ki going through them, and they're fighting in Battle of Gods. You know, that movie, Battle of Gods. That's the level they're at there. They're god types, right? They're fighting angels and demons and gods on a multiversal level. So where do you go from here? Dragon Ball goes from a long way from little Goku knocked on his head, his little noggin, forgets his main directive as a Saiyan, and he grows up as a little innocent kid and who just happens to have these epic abilities and powers and strength, and he's a monkey person. And then realizes he's a Saiyan, and then it just goes from there. Makes friends. Almost every enemy he encounters becomes his friend. He doesn't actually kill them. But yeah, look, I don't know where they go from here with Dragon Ball. It's just this ever escalating ladder that they just keep climbing, and power levels were gone like decades ago. They kind of left that behind, and you just the power scaling in Dragon Ball Super in particular just got a bit ridiculous. People that never trained for years in canon suddenly are fighting in the Universal Tournament, right? Against beings far more powerful than they are, and somehow with like a week's training, they're just right back up there with the gods. I don't. It's yes, it's a cartoon. Yes, it's Dragon Ball. Anything can happen, but come on. I honestly don't know where they're going to go, right? And this Dragon Ball Super in particular is meant to take place in the years between the end of Dragon Ball Z. So the final episode of Dragon Ball Z, right? And then the tournament where Oob comes along, right? So there's that small few years bracket that they're trying to cover. Now Pan is a thing, and I think Bra is now a thing as well. So they're blurring the lines a little bit. So how much time do they have left before they actually hit in canon the end of Dragon Ball Z, the last episode, where we'll finally meet Oob? Like, is that where Super's going to end, or how are they going to explain the time skips and how many years have gone by? And I don't know, there's a lot of canon issues, which itself, even throughout the entire Dragon Ball run, there are a lot of continuity issues and plot issues and stuff, which I think would be the main reason, besides the absolute inconsistency in animation throughout the series. Oh man, even Dragon Ball Super suffered massively from inconsistent quality of animation. I would have imagined a $1 billion franchise like Dragon Ball, and when Dragon Ball Super came along, I would have imagined that the budget would have been there, right, for just the top tier anime, right? Top tier anime animation. But what we got is kind of slap hazard at best, and that's no slight on the animators. They had limited resources, limited time to smash this stuff out, and that's why it looks so bad in a lot of ways, right? But you can tell there's particular episodes in Dragon Ball Super that are animated so good. They just look so good and crispy that you remember watching Dragon Ball Z growing up, and there's some key episodes you're like, damn, this episode looks good. Like, all the characters look great. And then something epic happens, or something is set up for an epic event in the next episode. And then you watch the next episode and it's really crappy animation, and it takes the enjoyment out of it. At least it takes me out of it. I remember, I'm not the only one. I'm not alone in that, right? So that in itself, to me, is enough of a reason to reboot and just start the show from scratch. Like, take the best of, just give us a best of. Like, I know they did Dragon Ball Kai, right? Dragon Ball Z Kai, that was trying to get it more in line with the manga, right? They cut out a lot of the filler that wasn't in the manga and redubbed it, right? And gave it a new score, and that was, and recolored it in a lot of episodes. And that was meant to be like, this is the Dragon Ball Z, the way to consume Dragon Ball Z without the filler, right? But even that didn't really do wonders, right? So I think the best way that they can do this to keep this property fresh is just look at what succeeded in Dragon Ball Z and Super overall and just reboot it, right? Do a new series. Saving rebooting it, just start from scratch to reanimate the entire show, right? And just stick to the manga. Like, make a really manga faithful iteration with top tier anime styling and animation. That would be amazing. I would be on board with that. And you've still got Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat and the rest, right? For the English translation, they're still around. They're still kicking, and they've been vocal saying that, yeah, they'd be keen to do this, right? So the other reason is the Japanese voice cast. They're all aging out, right? Some of them have already passed on, right? And the actress, the name escapes me right now. Forgive me. That's what I'm trying to say. She's quite old, right? And she's not going to be around for much longer, right? And I say that with all respect. But she's still voicing Goku and Gohan, right? But what happens when she goes, right? They're going to have to, if they want to keep this going, they're going to have to recast her, right? And all the other actors that are aging out. They're like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, right? 90 years old, verging on, right? So if they're not around or they're too old to sound like the youthful characters that they're portraying, you recast. And if you're going to recast, do you not just take it back and reboot the entire thing? I know my thought process here is bouncing around a bit, but I'm trying to be a bit ad hoc with your question here and candid. I don't want to sound prepared or anything like that, but like we're having a conversation, right? This would be my thoughts if we were actually having a conversation. So I'd be cool with that, man. I'm not so attached to Dragon Ball like I used to be when I was younger, and that makes me sound old, but I still really enjoy Dragon Ball as a property. Dragon Ball Z in particular, Dragon Ball Super I've enjoyed. Like I said, I've got all the DVDs and Blu-rays for those series and movies. Right, I used to have I actually had some life-size Dragon Balls on my shelf and some figures and statues and stuff, but I sold those because I just grew out of it. You know, I'm a bit, I don't want to, it sounds a bit ridiculous saying I grew out of it and I'm too old for it when I'm sitting in front of a shelf full of Transformers, but I'll get to that. But I still really enjoy Dragon Ball. I think it's awesome. It's unique. It's one of a kind of an anime, right? And you can see its influence across Japanese cartoons and anime in general for decades, and it's still doing it, right? So it is that like upper tier recognition of anime that brought anime at large across the world, right, to the West. Dragon Ball was the big one that did it, not Gundam. Gundam started it, but Dragon Ball did it. Dragon Ball Z in particular, right? So I think it's worth paying its worth, and it's worth paying its worth. It's worth paying its due, right, to respect that property and give us a really top tier anime. Just reboot Dragon Ball, start from scratch, or just reanimate the same story. I don't know. I'd be down for both. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Try not to circle around too much, but yeah, that's my take on it. I'm impartial to it. Whatever happens, happens. There's other franchises I'm into that reinvent themselves every 3 or 5 years anyway. And you can kind of dip in and out on the ones that work for you or not, right? That's fine. I mean, I've dipped out on Dragon Ball. I really like Dragon Ball Z. I didn't like Dragon Ball Z redubbed. I didn't like Dragon Ball Z Kai too much. Dragon Ball Super ebbed and flowed. I didn't like GT. So you can come and go, right? That's one of these evergreen kind of properties that you can do that. Anyway, cool. Done. Hopefully that answers your question. Excellent. Nice. That's cool. I enjoyed that. When I saw that question that was next in line, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'm going to enjoy talking about that one. So I'm glad I finally got to cover that. And not many people that know me or watch me here are aware that I'm a bit of a Dragon Ball fan. So that's another one on the tree, so to speak. Excellent. Cool. So the next one is kind of a bit of an important one to me. So I want to cover it. And it's a very timely day. I didn't move my show just for this day, but I'll explain that in a second. So let's do it when we come back. Excellent. Yes, Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime. It's his birthday today, the 28th of July. I always repost my birthday tweets and Facebook posts and Instagram posts about this every year. Just out of due respect. I'm a big fan of what he's done, right? For Peter Cullen and Optimus Prime in particular, right? That's what he's known for. Yes, he's done Eeyore from Disney and a number of other voices that he's done, and he's about to be in Invincible season 2 as a character, which is awesome. And most of you probably know him from the Transformers Michael Bay movies, right? But you know, he's been doing this since 1984, even before that, right? So he's a long player, and I've had the pleasure to meet him some years back. Hopefully this is the right one. Yes, so that's me and Mr. Peter Cullen, and got a signed autograph from him, which I have on my shelf in the bedroom. That sounds really bad, but I have shelves in the bedroom. We've got, my wife and I have stuff all over the place there, and that's just one of the things that I've got with other actors that I've met. I don't have room in this room, otherwise I'd be in here. But anyway, that's too much information. But yeah, so that day, I remember that. I've told this story before, but it's worth repeating. So the day I met Peter Cullen, right? So in respect for happy birthdays, and may he reign forever. I recently moved this was during a part of my life where I've moved a lot, and I just started kind of getting back into Transformers, and a lot of stuff was going on in my life, right? And I heard that Peter Cullen was coming to Australia and the Supernova Expo convention, whatever the hell it's called, and I was like, I've got to meet him, right? And I had a bit of money put away, and I planned for it. And I really wanted this to happen. So I think I can't remember how old I was. This was good 5-6 years ago or something by now, even further. God damn, I'm getting old. Anyway, so yeah, the lead up to this event, there's a lot going on. Like I was flying in, flying out at a hotel, and I went there on my own. And there's a lot behind Peter Cullen and his voice and what he's done for Optimus Prime and what that means to me, right? So this is the dual topic of like Peter Cullen's effect on me, and not just Transformers, but like as you can see, I'm sitting in front of a shelf and a wall full of Transformers here. It goes, there's another shelf up there with Titans on it, and another shelf below where you can see the screen, and a big Unicron there, and there's a couple Optimus Primes over there. Anyway, so Optimus Prime as a character, I think is just awesome anyway. Like, what a cool character. Transformers, awesome concept. Just friggin' genius. Like, these people back in the day are like, hey, we want to make a toy line. Let's just grab bits and pieces from a bunch of Japanese toys and smash them together and make them a new franchise in America. And, let's get some dude, and I say that with respect, there's some dude a few weeks or whatever to get all the character bios and stuff together for all these characters. I just hit my cable there. Hopefully it didn't bust someone's eardrums. Let's give them a few weeks just to get the character bios and stuff together and the concept just for this toy line, right? And then they had to build out a Marvel comic to launch with a toy line, and this whole Wild Wild West kind of situation. Then bam, like almost 40 years later, and we're still here, and it's bigger than ever, right? So Transformers has had a massive impact on my youth, right, and just my general growing up anyway. And I know a lot of people have a similar story in that regard, right? So Peter Cullen's voice is a major part of that, right? He's I don't know. I think Transformers on its own, when it started, would have stood out as its own strength and property and concept and everything, and the toy line would have blown up anyway, and it still would have been good. But I have that belief, and maybe it's just the fanboy in me, that I don't think it would have been impactful had it not had the voice cast it had, right? The characterizations of all those characters, that sounds a bit stupid to say it like that, but I'm thinking off the cuff here, like the way they've characterized the Autobots and Decepticon people, robots, whatever you want to call them, the voice actors within, and how they directed them accordingly, and how they gave life to those characters, I don't think it would have had the impact that it did back then. Frank Welker's Megatron being one of them. It's iconic, that Megatron voice, and Peter Cullen and his Optimus Prime, just two of many on that series that are iconic and you can still hear today in the back of your head. And Peter Cullen's voice was one of them that just stood with me and stuck with me for my entire life, right? I remember growing up, and I still do sometimes, and it might sound a bit juvenile, but it is what it is, where I'll still hear Optimus Prime's voice, like Peter Cullen's voice in the back of my head when I'm talking or when I'm thinking about something, just in that moral compass kind of area. Like, it's that fatherly voice, that warmth that Optimus Prime's voice had as I was growing up and, watching the cartoon and, the 1986 movie. We watched that so much, and that voice just stays with you, right? And the original animated series, 1984. So meeting Peter Cullen with all this background weighing on me, leading up to like, oh my God, I'm finally going to meet this man, and that who has this voice, who breathed life into this character that I've just loved like my entire life, pretty much. So when I finally got to meet him at the table, I blubbered out a couple of things that, you get to this table, you're finally sitting in front of this man, and you've been thinking about what you're going to say, but when you finally get there, you don't know what to say, and you bumble over things, and you get a bit emotional, and he started getting a bit emotional. I could see it, and like, I told him a few personal things that I won't repeat here because it's something. It was just a bit of a moment for myself, just about how his voice stuck with me all my life. and he got a bit emotional over that. But anyway, so that moment was really nice between us. So I often think of that moment, and I think very fondly of it, right? So when I finally get to go get my photo with him, this was after this signing, and I walk in, and he remembered me, and he embraced me with warmth, with a hug and a handshake, and I was getting quite emotional, and he could hear me. I was a bit upset, and he was kind of a bit teary eyed, and we had an exchange. There's that mutual recognition of like who I am and what he's done for me, in many ways that he's probably not aware of, and I'm sure he's done that for many others. Just for him doing this voice of this animated character, right? I mean, that's a powerful thing that someone on a completely different part of the planet, on a completely different trajectory, can affect this grown man, growing up in Rockhampton, Central Queensland, at the time, and I finally get to fly to meet this man, 30 something years later or whatever. Can't remember how old I was. I think I was about 30, maybe 29, 30, 31. I don't know. Finally getting to meet him, and just the paths that we've had are so different, but we met, right? And for me, that was a major thing to have that amazing experience with this guy, who he doesn't know who I am, but I told him like what his character and how he voices Optimus Prime, what his voice meant to me all these years, and it was an amazing experience, and I always think of it. And every time it's his birthday, I always look at that signed poster and that photo, and I just remember that exchange that I had with him, and I'm so glad that I've got to have that moment. I don't know many people in my circles anyway that have met many people like this, or people that they grew up liking or enjoying what they do and whatever else, or even in the circles that I know who are a fan of Transformers, outside of the Facebook groups and whatever. Obviously, a lot of them have met him, but in my close circle, right, not many people have met him, or almost none of them, right? But they like Transformers, and so I'm just trying to share that kind of, trying to articulate that experience off the top of my head, because I like to keep it a bit lively and candid and not preconceived when I do these things, right? So yeah, look, it's his birthday today. Much respect to Peter Cullen. I love everything you do, mate. Like every time you voice Optimus Prime, it's a joy. And I'll enjoy every iteration that you get to perform. There have been other pretenders that have tried to take up your shoes. They try to do the imitations to continue on. But it's just not the same. Like the cadence isn't there, the warmth isn't there. It sounds like an imitation, right? You can't beat the real thing in this instance. You really can't. So I'll always look back at the 84 series, the 86 movie, the video games, The War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron, maybe a couple of the Michael Bay movies, Bumblebee, the small bits that he was in, and there's a bit of controversy over that for his part in that. And then the Rise of the Beast movie that's out. And just the Transformers Prime series, like I watched those, and Frank Welker and Peter Cullen were in that series as well, and just the vastness of whatever else he's done as Prime, and hopefully he continues on as long as he's able. I'm not going to beat around. Like he's getting on. He's getting on, right? And he's not going to be able to do this forever, but as long as he's around, you pay the respects, and even after, right? So. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that, and the toy line, right? Transformers toy line. I did want to combine this topic with Peter Cullen's birthday and why I'm collecting Transformers now. So I never really collected Transformers, right? I never did. Outside of Beast Wars that my mum got me when I was a kid. I had a lot of Beast Wars. I was lucky for that. Toys growing up, but my first Transformer back in the day was a G1 Wheeljack, right? My brother, I think he got at the time, was it a side swipe? Either that or it was the Optimus Prime. He got the Optimus Prime and I got a Wheeljack or whatever. And then later on, he got a side swipe and a Starscream. And I don't know why I didn't get as many G1 toys as he did. But anyway. But, Transformers has been around for us. And that was way back when we were like 4 or 5 or whatever. But in my adult life or growing up, it was Beast Wars. And I just noticed that all the toys outside of Beast Wars were a bit janky, and it was all full of gimmicks and obviously made for kids. And I didn't really like it because they didn't look like the show, or they didn't look like how I remember them from the show, and never did it, right? But then along comes this toy line called War for Cybertron, right, in 2019 or whatever it was, and that was just before COVID or just during COVID. This toy line came out, and my brother sent me the first promo pictures for it. I had no idea. And he's like, oh, look at these. I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, oh, these toys look legit good, at a affordable price range, not masterpiece, nothing third party, whatever else, like an actual like mainline toy line that has the articulation and the styling and the aesthetics and everything that matches and aligned with like how I remember Transformers. And I was like, oh boy, like, oh, I'm right in this. This is great. I got three of them. I got Optimus Prime, Sideswipe, and Hound first. And that was the first box that I got from this new toy line. And as soon as I started playing with these and mucking around with them and getting the feel for it and the quality of them, like, oh yeah, like that plastic crack got me, right? And ever since, like, we're now in 2023. So you've got War for Cybertron, and there's a 3-chapter trilogy of that: Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom. I went all in on that stuff, man. I didn't buy everything, but I had a good chunk of the main ones I wanted, and it's still going in Transformers Legacy and Legacy Evolution, and it's about to start a next chapter, Legacy Unicron, Universe, whatever it's going to be called. No one really knows this yet. And then there's the Studio Series 1986 toy line, right, where they're bringing back versions of the toys that look as close to the 86 movie as possible, which has been great to fill out the roster on the shelf, so to speak. So, and then they did Unicron, right? Unicron's this big boy over here, right? And his planet mode is like 30 inches wide. So it doesn't really make much sense for him back there, but he's a big toy, right? This was a HasLab crowdfunded, like fan paid piece. You can't just go to retail or whatever and buy this guy, right? I pre-ordered it in the hopes that I could justify the price, and I managed to pay it off at the store I got it from because I just couldn't justify the upfront cost of it. But you can't just buy these, right? So I've been super paranoid and mucking around with it and transforming him because I've only got one of him, right? And Unicron is the centerpiece of this collection. When I ever move into a place big enough to display everything how I want, Unicron is going to be the centerpiece of it, right? And you can't see the big Titan figures up here, but they're like, I don't know, 18 inches, 20 inches, 22 inches tall, each one of them in the robot modes. So yeah, I've gone right in. I do enjoy them. And during COVID in particular, the reason why I latched onto it so much is we all had something to go through during COVID, right? And, I was alone. I was on my own. I was cut off from family and every friend and whatever else. Like I didn't have anyone. I was stuck here on my own, working from home, and I just needed something, right? I needed something to look forward to, and that was ordering these, right? And for the next pre-order to come out, or the shipment notice for when one is coming, and then you get the next one and the next one. I know that sounds super materialistic and privileged of me to say. Yes, I went through COVID very lucky. I got to keep my job and work from home, and I had that income, and but it wasn't without my own tribulations and difficulties, right? Like mentally and physically and all that kind of stuff. So I just needed something, right, to just break the loneliness and isolation and have something to focus on that wasn't work when you're just stuck in these four walls every day, as I'm sure a lot of you experienced during COVID times. And then it just grew into something that I really enjoyed, right? When we came out of it, it became something of like a reward for me to go, you know what, I've earned these next pre-orders or whatever because I've handled life over here. I've taken care of this over here in life. And so now when I come into this room, and sometimes I'll just turn around and look at them, right? Or I walk in the room and it's like, oh man, there's a lot of memories there. There's a lot of personal satisfaction there. There's a lot of attachment, for better or worse, but there's a reason for it, right? And it goes all the way back to Peter Cullen affecting me in the best way possible with that just soft, like calming, strong, fatherly voice from Optimus Prime, all the way through to Transformers as a toy line, getting me through COVID, and you're just delving right back into Transformers just as a callback to just something that makes you feel good and safe, right? And there's a whole like mental story up here about it that I'm sure everybody's got their own story that got them through, and they learned a lot about themselves during those lockdown times. And this was just one of mine, right? This is just what got me through, besides the takeaway, besides like eating really unhealthily and like almost eating yourself to death. But that's a whole other story and a bit of TMI. But look, we all have dark stages, right? And I've hinted on a couple of mine there, but Transformers literally got me through. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have the interest and hobbies and the tools that I had around me to keep myself busy outside of looking forward to the next plastic crack hit, right? And it is an addiction. It sounds like one, and it more than likely is. But I enjoy it, right? I've enjoyed every minute of collecting these things, and I've gotten to the point. Excuse me, while I just get a drink. I've been talking for a while now. So I've gotten to the point where I've had to keep a spreadsheet because I just can't remember how many I've got, and it saves me from like, getting a repeat. Or if another character, if say like in one toy line they released a character and I got it because I was like, oh, I really like that one and I got that one, but then a few chapters down they release another version of this same character that I know I've already got one, right? And I don't need to replace it, right? Unless it's like notably better than that one, then I will, and I'll sell it off, right? And that's where that kind of addiction, it sounds like one, right? But it's a hobby. I'm not alone in that. I know that, but it makes me happy, right? And that's whatever else. There's a lot of troubles going on in the world. I could be doing a lot of worse things, but here I am on my computer on a Friday night, talking into a microphone to talk to you about my experience with Peter Cullen and my Transformers addiction, right? But I'm almost at the end of it. Like my spreadsheet's all about full. There's not many spots left of characters that I actually want. And I've gotten to the point now where every time they release some previews of coming characters or figures that are coming down the line in future waves, I'm like, yeah, I don't need that. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Oh, yes, that one. Oh, yes, that one. So maybe like 2 out of the 8 or whatever they release, I'll pick up. So it's on the downturn now. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed it, and I've always wanted something like that, right? I'm in a position in my life where I've got a little bit of expendable income to play around with and to build a collection of sorts, and it's like fulfilling that throwback when you're a kid. It's capturing a bit of your childhood there and getting that Transformers collection that you never really had, right? And yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Just doing something that makes you happy in whatever darkness you're in, right? Just whatever it is that gets you through can only be a good thing, right? As long as it's not affecting your day-to-day, your life, your responsibilities, managing everything else, like there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself for getting through those things, right? Material rewards or not, right? Everybody's got their own reward that they give themselves. That's just one of mine. I know it sounds like I'm justifying it, but I've had this conversation with myself, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I work damn hard, and I put up with a lot of stuff over the years, and if this is just such a little thing that gives me joy at the end of the week or every month whenever a new batch of figures come in, then cool. All the better for it. I'm not out there doing drugs. I'm not drinking myself stupid every weekend. I'm not doing anything destructive. It's just me in a room drawing, making comic books and enjoying Transformers. Anyway, and Peter Cullen, mate, like his impact is here, right? It's here with me some 30 odd years later, right? And I know it sounds like I'm overdoing it and overselling it and overselling the importance of what he's done, but that's how it's affected me, right? So I don't know if anyone out there that's listening to this understands that or has a similar story with Peter Cullen or someone else, right? Some other fandom that you're into or some other property or something happened to you or whatever else that stuck with you and has always been there, right? But everyone's got something no matter what it is. And this is just mine that I want to share with you. Just peer behind the veil of me for a second there. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I know I talked a lot about that one, but I could talk a lot more about it, to be honest with you. That's a part of my life that I'm super happy with that I got to have happen, right? And I've had the privilege of experiencing a number of things during that period of my life, meeting other people and getting involved with other things that I'll touch about on at another time when the topic lends to it. But yeah, I love that moment, and it'll always sit with me very warmly. Excellent, cool. All right, well that's that one done. We'll move on to the next one, and probably at this point we're getting a bit long, but we'll see if we can keep it on this next topic. If not, we can squeeze one more in. But I want to highlight to you a fan film, right? And I think it's important to show and just highlight because I really enjoyed it, right? So let's just talk about it. I won't waste any more time. Let's just go right into it. Excellent. Okay, here we are. So A-List Productions, right? Now, we connected on social media ages ago, right? And, we've messaged back and forth over the time, just checking on each other, and he'd give me support now and then, some words of wisdom and advice, and words of support. Every now and then we'll check in, and when he's got something going, like he'll drop me a message. I know he'd drop a message to everybody else. I'm not special, but it's just cool to still like be included in that, right? And like he knows what I'm talking about. So he's got his YouTube channel, A-List Productions, and he's done a lot of fan films, fan edits. Like he built a name for himself online for making these fan edits of, like he'll take pre-existing movies and turn them into like Marvel vs. DC stuff, and a really cool and clever Star Wars related stuff. He's got a Fallout fan film there as well. Super talented, mate. I don't know where to start with any of that. Like I'd love to be able to do that kind of stuff. So more power to you. And he was doing his A-Listers podcast there for a while as well. So he's got a presence online, and he should be proud of what he's done, right? Even more prouder about what he's done now, right? So he knows very well I'm a Superman fan. We talked a lot about stuff, during the Zack Snyder era of DC, and just our thoughts on like how that's gone back and forth, and we'd comment online on social media and on YouTube videos and whatnot. So that's cool. Like I enjoy that. He's a top guy. I support him whatever he does. Like he's a super talent. With like what is the constraints that he's got as a fan filmmaker, learning the skills of what he's got with as little resources as he's had at his disposal. He's done a lot with that, right? And you can see every time he does something, his skill just ups a little bit more. And it's been so interesting to me to see that growth. Every time he puts something out, it's like it's that much better. It's that much better. That he does it right, and it's him. And I'm sure he's got his own little circle that helps him out. But more power to you, mate. But now he's put out this fan film called Superman Solar. Right, let me just get the poster up here. Okay, so he got some funding from this through crowdfunding, right, to make this happen. And I failed to remember the target goal for it, but I mean, what an undertaking, right? To put together a concept that people want to pay for, or not pay for, but provide support for, is a better way to say it, to make that vision happen, right? So he put a vision out there, and enough people rallied around that for him to make that happen, right? That's so cool, right? You can't, there's nothing bad that you can say about that, right? Like he's like, you know what? I've got this Superman vision I really want to put together. I just need to know what constraints I have in order to make this happen in the best way that I can, right? Excuse me. Super unprofessional to cough into a microphone. But what he's done here, I thoroughly enjoyed, right? I thought that was really great. It hit me in the feels a couple of times. I watched it just after work. I finished work. It's like, oh man, what a busy day. And I was like, I took my wife. Like, hey, I've been looking forward to watch this. Let's watch this together. And we watched it, and my wife enjoyed it, and so did I. We're kind of like, oh, there's a mid credit scene. Oh, there's an after credit scene. And I was like, oh man, he's building out his own little mini cinematic universe here, and it's super cool, man. Like, pardon the pun, but I was super stoked to see it. Again, pardon the pun. What a cool endeavor. What an amazing effort, and more power to you, mate. Much respect. I recommend you watch it. It is a fan film, right? So just go into it. And this is not saying, I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, because I say this with all due respect. When you go into a fan film, it's not a $300 $300 million movie, right? Just remove that. If you don't watch many fan films, just don't. You can't walk into it expecting you're going to have it change your life or whatever else on a $300 million budget, like people are accustomed to. Go into this appreciating the fact that this creator, this person with a vision, created this thing on whatever he could get, right? Whatever that crew could put together, whatever this group of people, his circle, rallied together to put this film together. A Superman fan that he wanted to make this story. He designed the suit. I'm sure there's a lot of involved stuff that I don't know behind the scenes, but I can only give a massive props to someone that wants to go out there and make something like this happen, right? And it's so easy for people to sit here online. I'm not saying this is happening to his short film, but just in just a general passing comment, when things like this happen and you get these people who are like backseat drivers, or they're so quick to shut down people who do the fan film, right, on the back of the smell of an oily rag, right, and they shoot them down because it doesn't look like a $300 million film. I hate that, and it shows that person's true colors, that they have no creative talent or creative soul in their body. If they can't appreciate the fact that this person did this off their own will and the circle that they got around them, right? I really enjoyed this. I don't watch it. Like it's over. How many hits has it got now? I just looked at it before. It launched 2 days ago and it's over 15,000 views already. Like, that's so awesome. I tuned in when it was really in the early stages of the view count going up, and I started watching it again because I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Like the stuff, I didn't expect some of the stuff that he put in there, right? I don't want to say I went in with low expectations, but I've watched a lot of fan films, right? I just know what to expect. And I came in there, I'm like, all right, cool, what's this? Awesome. I'm awesome for old mate here who put this movie together, and I want to support him. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to enjoy it. And I walked away like, wow, that was so cool. And the message that was in there, the message itself is the best part about it, right? He obviously has a lot of thought and care into this movie, and I respect what he did here. I think it's a timely message that needs to be reminded to us every now and then. All right. And the script that was put together to highlight what was attempted to being said here, I thought was really, really well put together. And the actors, like, you can, obviously the actors that were in there, some of them I saw on Instagram saying, hey, this is my first acting gig, thank you very much. So it was obviously one of those kind of circles, right? So there were people coming together saying, yeah, I want to be a piece of that. I want to be a part of that. Yeah, I want to support that. Can I act in this part? This is going to be my first acting role, or, someone's a friend or whatever. So, hey, mate, can you just fill this role? Like, yeah, it's there are instances of that, right? And most fan films do have that, right? You're not hiring, professional Hollywood actors or whatever else. But who was in this, right? Really, you could tell they gave it their all, right? And that's great. That's all you can ask, right? When you're making a movie, all you can ask is everyone that turns up to show up and do their best, right? And you can tell everyone did that, right? There's a lot of love and care in this movie. I guarantee you'll have a good time. Like I did. So that's the reason why I can say that. And I recommend checking it out. You'll be surprised with some of the stuff that was put in here, given like the constraints that I've mentioned, right? I want to see more of this kind of stuff. In a time where like movie budgets are overblown and they don't make their money back because it's almost impossible to do that with the budgets that are put out there. And you can see like a creator who doesn't have the Hollywood backing, right? And he's able to put something like this together with a little crew, his own vision, and I'm sure some favors across the way. And he got what he got, right? He put together what he did, and it was so well done, right? And more power to you, mate. I wish you nothing but success, right? Really, honestly, I mean that. I wish you nothing but success, and I look forward to your next project. Check it out, Superman Solar. Bravo, mate. Bravo. And I know it's got a personal touch and a personal meaning for you in there, mate. So well done on putting that out there and paying that respect. That's awesome to see, mate. And art imitating life, imitating art. It's always interesting. and appreciative. So awesome. I hope you get all the accolades you deserve, mate. Well done. And keep doing what you're doing. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Cool. So I just wanted to highlight this fan film. I'm not saying it for any other reason, but I enjoyed it, and he reached out to me to check it out. So he told me it was online. And look, if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be highlighting it, right? I'm not that kind of guy. You guys should know that from me by now. If I don't like something, I'll say so, right? If I didn't want to highlight something, even on my little pocket of the world, I'm not going to give it time. But this is something that I really wanted to give time to, and I wish him nothing but success in his future endeavors. Excellent. Cool. All right. Well, I know we're heading up to close to the hour mark, right? And some of my other episodes have gone over an hour, and this is a Friday night, and I'm moving things around. So I have another topic here, but it's going to run a bit long. So I might just start wrapping up the show here. But yeah, look, I really appreciate your time. I've got a lot of energy. I might seem a bit disjointed in my thought process tonight, but it's because I finished work, and after work I went to the shops and had dinner with my wife, and we did a few other things, and I realized what the time was. I'm like, oh look, yeah, I want to get this cadence going. I want to make sure I get these done on a Friday night and free up my weekend. So expect more from me as far as creative endeavors go, right? So I'll just tack the end here with a bit of a sneak into the window of me as to what I'm planning, right? So over here, if I can just get this without knocking everything over, here lies, if I can get some of the, this is like, you might go, what the hell is that? So this is the prototype for my own trading card game, right? I went ahead and I manually cut a massive sheet of card. I've got like 5 or 10 big sheets of card. I ruled it out and penciled it out and cut it all up into small, like actual card size cards. And I started developing my own TCG. I have a spreadsheet full of the rule set, what I want in it, a lot of card text and abilities and thought process behind it. And what I'm trying to do is physically playtest it. I don't want to muck around with the generator or some computer solution. There's nothing that I like more. There's nothing that I like more. Oh my God, than actually physically playing a card game, right? I want the tactile experience. I want to play it, right? So I've played tested this with my wife a couple of times, and it's got some work to be put into it. Some things don't work that I thought did, so I went back and revamped it. So that's one thing that I'm doing, but I need the time. I need the time to do it and create all the artwork for it, right? Secondly, is I have a bunch of comic book projects that I want to work on, but I have not the time, right? I recently I got promoted this month at work, which is going to take up a lot more of my brain capacity and potentially my time. Okay, so I'm very thankful and grateful that promotion. It's life changing for me and my wife. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and I'm not going to shy from it. However, that means I need to readjust my home life and my time. So that means doing this on a Friday night, and it's a way for me to wind down at the end of the week, talk to you guys, get something out there, free up my weekend when I can come into this office, get my drawing tablet screen out, focus on some pages, focused on, I'll have a break for drawing some pages and, make some cards or play test it a bit more. And what I want to do is at least by the end of 2023, have something ready, right? And that's a broad statement. Okay. So something ready, as in ready to proceed with, ready to print, ready to get working on at full capacity, something that's fully play tested, or a book that's been fully laid out for panels, right? A script. I've got a script already written for my Power Rangers fan book that I want to do. It's just a 1-issue one-shot that I might build out to, a little mini series, depending on how I go with it. And after that, I want to do my own superhero comic that I've been sitting on for 20 years, right? Because a number of reasons, life, right? Life and money. But I'm in a position now where I have the tools that I need to do it all. I just need to get my practice in to ensure my skills are up to scratch, that I want to put something out and I feel proud about it, right? So yeah, there's a lot coming from me that I really want to get out there, and it's going to take time because it's just me, right? And that's why, not to harken back to Superman Solar, but that's why I appreciate creators like that, right? And I envy them and I admire them because they're doing what I wish I was doing, right? If you ask me, hey, you're really happy with your promotion and all that kind of stuff, yeah, of course I am. I'm so very lucky, right? I've earned it and I've worked very hard for it, but I'm very lucky to have that opportunity, right? I'm not lost on that. But if you ask me what would you prefer I'd be doing, it would be this. It would be working on my channel here. It would be working on my creative endeavors. It'd be working on my books. It'd be working on this card game. It'd be working on whatever. Something creative that I can do in my own time, at my own speed, without the pressure of like, oh, I've got 2 days. I've got 2 days to squeeze in something, right? And that's a drain on life, right? When you work all week and you have 2 days, 2 days to get something in for some personal satisfaction and validation of some creative endeavor and outlet that you want to do. But that's life. That's just how it is until you're one of these random lucky people online that hit the jackpot, hit the algorithm jackpot, and they get financed by viewers and ads, and they can have the freedom to do whatever they want. But people like me who don't have that freedom, we work within our constraints as best as possible. And a simple project that might take someone else a couple months, take someone like me a couple years, just to have the energy and mind capacity just to get through, right? And I know it sounds like a lot of excuses, but that's just my life. And your life is different. Like you go, oh, I've got time. You just have to make time. It's so easy to make time. It's like, yeah, maybe in your life, but not everybody has that same time availability that you do, right? To make that kind of call. But yeah, anyway, so that's what I'm trying to do. That's what this big chunk of demo cards is. This is a prototype of my card game, right? And this drawing monitor that I have over here, and that you've probably seen me post myself drawing, like, hey, I'm just chilling out, doing some extra pages for this comic. That's what I'm trying to do. All right, so hopefully, if you're still here at the end of this video, or if you see this video that I post online, hopefully you want to stick around for that, right? I'm going to put it out anyway, even if no one gives a damn. It's just a personal thing for me. I want to get a thick hardcover book, something that I've created, and put it on the shelf next to the other books that I love reading. That's my goal, right? However long that takes, whether it's this year or the next. I won't rest until I get that hardcover book that I'm going to get printed physically, a physical copy. I'm going to get printed and put it on my bookshelf, right? That this is my universe that I've built, and I've put it right next to, look, this Superman book, this Power Rangers book, this Transformers book, right? This Spider-Man book, these other books that I read. Mine is now there with them, right? And to me, that's going to be very cool, right? That's going to be that's going to be something for me, right? And I hope you want to stick around and see that happen. All right, I want to share that with everybody when it happens. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up now. I'll get off my soapbox and enjoy the rest of my evening with my wife and enjoy the weekend. Hopefully I'll look forward to some of your comments. Those who view this video, if you stuck around this long, I'll look forward to interacting with you in the comments and online over the weekend. Until then, look, I know this is a new thing for me. I'm changing it up, and it might seem a bit all over the shop right now, but there's a method to the madness. As we wrap this up, I wish to thank you for your time and including me in your day. As always, feel free to follow me on my socials, at Uncle Chunt, pretty much everywhere on major platforms, or just find what I do on unclechunt.com to keep abreast of my upcoming projects and updates. In the meantime, till all are one, and may the power protect you. Skull. Indeed. To lose all. Bye.